Well, I think there's wonderful opportunities to learn about people online. I think there's wonderful opportunities to read about them. You can learn about different cultures. And if they can train their employees to smile and greet people, their bottom line goes up. People recommend their services. So it takes some getting over that fear. It gets, almost that sense in our head, this is the safe way to live life. And like, no, that is not the safe way.
What role does simplicity play in making this practice more accessible?
On the people crossing our thresholds, that is the greatest gift you can give someone, to invite them into your space. They want that same kind, they want to know that they're seen and loved. And that's the core of genuine hospitality. It works in the marketplace. And people had been very hospitable to her. But by the time she came to our house, and we got this call, there's this woman, she plays the cello, she speaks no English, she has no money. Can you take her for the summer?
So folks, you have tuned into TGV and hearty welcome to the Guiding Voice podcast series, the world's only quadrilingual podcast at this moment of recording. And we are trying to embark into multiple languages as we speak. And here we embark on transformative conversations for a better future. And we want to simplify and amplify your journey to success. I'm your host, Navin Samala, dedicated to making the world a better place by bringing you wisdom through valuable discussions with experts designed to simplify and amplify your success. And thank you so much for tuning in. So folks, we are joined by Annie McKee, and today we are going to cover an interesting topic at hand: embracing authentic hospitality and opening doors to connection. But before we get into the topic, here is an exciting twist as always. Let us tickle our guest brain. So Annie, get ready for a rapid fire round of random words. I'll mention a few. Would love to hear the first thing that comes to your mind in response. Without thinking much, if you're ready, let's get started.
Okay.
Okay.
Hello, I'm Steve Ahern, one of the judges of the Asia Podcast Awards. I'm interrupting this episode to let you know that you're listening to an award-winning podcast. This podcast won its category in the 2024 Podcast Awards, so you know you're listening to quality. Enjoy your listening experience, and congratulations to the team who created this award-winning podcast for you.
Here comes my first word: curiosity.
Essential for all of us.
Invention.
The thing that comes out of necessity and creativity.
Future.
Very exciting.
Strangers.
Future friends.
Kindness.
Love in action.
Aliens.
Those we have not met yet.
Okay. Next is universe.
So big, we really can't comprehend it.
Relationships.
Complicated.
Role model.
Someone that we admire with integrity.
Okay, the last one is success.
Achieving our goals.
Okay, and Annie, thank you so much for participating in the first rapid fire round. I said first rapid fire round, which means there is one more rapid fire round toward the end of the episode. So stay tuned. And hearty welcome to the Guiding Voice podcast series, where we embark on transformative conversations for a better future. So Annie, how are you doing today?
I am doing really well. I don't know where you are. I'm in Atlanta, Georgia, and it is hot and sunny again. But I'm getting used to hot and sunny.
I love it. I'm now in India, and let's begin with your success mantra. So please share with us the top 3 things that have contributed to your success so far.
Well, I grew up in a very large, loving, extended family. So that had to be number one. I had the chance to attend an amazing college. That would be number 2. And I've been privileged just to have a deep faith And I know that that has definitely contributed to my ability to succeed and to have peace while I'm doing it.
Oh, spot on. And let's move to the next one, Annie. So, hospitality means loving strangers as family. Okay, so that is what you say. And in your experience, what are the key components of this authentic hospitality, and how do we begin to incorporate them into our daily lives?
That is such a good question. And honestly, that definition comes from the Greek word that we get hospitality from, which is Philoxenia. And it does mean to love strangers as family. And I think one of the best examples was I was alone in France as a student. I was had an exchange student, had no money. I was in a place where I thought I was going to meet up with a friend. She didn't show. I was lost, afraid. I didn't know what to do. And I looked that way. And I was in a park trying to figure out my next move. And this peasant woman invited me to sit on the bench next to her and just talk to her. And at the end of the conversation, offered me half her loaf of bread, one of her 2 bananas, wrapped them up, made me feel like I was protected and loved in a strange place and that I had family if I needed it. I just think that's such a beautiful example of what authentic hospitality is. And here was someone different age, different culture, different economic, and she was not afraid to reach out and love me. So that is one of my quintessential things that I remember, that when we go to practice it, we don't need to be afraid of the differences in age or culture or any of those things. If we are looking at the person and their need and not at our own fears, we can extend hospitality, and that's what changes the world.
Yeah. All right. I got it. And I thank you for sharing that story. And in fact, we come across those kind of people who are really kind. Sometimes when we recently, like about 6 months ago, we were on a family trip along with friends, and we suddenly got into a problem. Our car was broke down. Car has broke down. And one stranger, all of a sudden, he came and he said, let me help you out. And accidentally, he happens to be an electrician, and he was able to solve the problem, and he offered us help. And it was at a remotest place, like wherein the garage was at least 100 kilometers away, which means like 60 miles away. So you can imagine how tensed we were. And that guy was kind enough. And at the same time, surrounding villages came to us and they said, hey, you guys can come here and hang around until the car is fixed and all, right? So I was really, I felt very happy, and I felt, okay, universe has something to do, right? Amazing.
Yeah, yeah, absolutely. I mean, it makes a difference, doesn't it? It takes a very frightening situation, and aren't we all in those frightening situations a lot?
Right. All right, so let's move to the next one. The Centers for Diseases Control and Prevention, CDC, and even Surgeon General highlight these loneliness and isolation as major societal issues, right? So how can practicing hospitality combat these challenges, and what steps can individuals take to make their communities more inclusive?
Right. Well, I think after COVID, where we were taught, I remember I had traveled outside my town and I came back and they said, okay, we're watching your house. If you go out to your mailbox, we're going to get you. I mean, so you start getting this fear of like, I'm not allowed to leave my house. And then there's also just that busyness we get used to, coming in, zipping in our driveways, putting down our garage doors. At least that's what they do here in Georgia. And there's just this crying need of, is there anybody out there that really sees me? And so it takes some getting over that fear. It gets, almost that sense in our head, this is the safe way to live life. And like, no, that is not the safe way to live life. The safe way is to look around and find somebody, look them in the eye, shake their hand, get over our fears. At times we think we are the only lonely one. And you're like, oh gosh, if it's 1/3 of us, then 2/3 of the people I meet, one of them is going to be lonely and one of them's not. We need to reframe our thinking and get over our fears and begin to think about them, not just us. And when we do that, we form real connections. And that's what makes life really enjoyable.
Yeah. Since you brought up the topic of lockdowns, right? After COVID, and also, moreover, social media is everywhere. Like, we are spending more time on social media, honestly. And in a world where the social media and lockdowns have distanced us from one another, how can we rejuvenate the practice of hospitality? And what role does simplicity play in making this practice more accessible?
Well, that's the other thing. I started realizing that, and we've just been opening our door forever, and people come in and they don't care if my house is a mess. They don't care if I burn the garlic bread. They, what they want is connection. And so to have, we've been scared into thinking we have to have beautiful homes or be really good cooks or impress our guests, and it is not about impressing them. I think you've got a phrase which you might use, is that it's about the connection, not the perfection. I think that's beautiful, but also mine is just like it's about the blessing, not the impressing. It's not about us. And if we focus on the people crossing our thresholds, that is the greatest gift you can give someone, to invite them into your space. Yeah. And it can be very simple.
Okay. Now I will shift the gaze and talk about the business part of it, in the sense, how can the principles of hospitality transform business environments as such? So what benefits can companies expect when they start to love strangers as family in the workplace?
Well, I think that's huge. I know that a lot of, and business is changing. I mean, for a long time, the mentality was like, this is work and we work, and you just, wring what you can get out of people. But those businesses that are starting to pivot to, let's have Friday lunch together, or, let's have a snack room where we make it more home, where we recognize that our employees are people and they have families. Let's be curious about the other side of their life. Let's take care of them well, as if we were family. But aside that, just genuine hospitality, which can just be an inviting smile. They've done studies now, and especially they've done a lot of them in the healthcare, where people that they're serving are scared and they're afraid. And if they can train their employees to smile and greet people, their bottom line goes up. People recommend their services. They want that same kind. They want to know that they're seen and loved, and that's the core of genuine hospitality. It works in the marketplace.
Yeah, got it. And do you believe that media portrayals of perfect homes have inadvertently discouraged people from practicing hospitality? And how can we shift the narrative to focus on connection rather than the perfection? A while ago, you mentioned about connection rather than the perfection, right?
Yeah. And that's it. We have to retrain ourselves. We have to say, just like I remember when our kids were little and we'd watch TV, someone said, now when the commercial's on, just tell them to shout at the TV. They're lying. They're trying to get you to buy a product. They're trying to, and it's not that we don't need the things that are being advertised. We love those things, but to not believe the lie, that's a lie. Not everyone has those beautiful homes. And the thing, if you've got a beautiful home, then sometimes you're even more afraid because someone might spill something on your rug or move the ambiance that you're trying to create. And it's just so not about those things. So, think back to that park bench. This woman had nothing. and that invitation to the park bench, we don't even need a park bench. It is that smile in a hallway, in a grocery store, letting someone just gently into those spaces that makes a connection that can change the world.
Yeah, got it. Now let's talk about your book, Practicing Hospitality, The Joy and Grace of Loving Strangers. I love the title actually, and it shares many stories, right? So could you highlight one or two stories where the act of hospitality had a profound impact on someone's life?
Well, one that comes to mind, and she was just here visiting this week, was a young woman who came from Kyrgyzstan, and about 20 some years ago. And she came, and she actually was a religious refugee from Kyrgyzstan. And people had been very hospitable to her. But by the time she came to our house, and we got this call, there's this woman, she plays the cello, she speaks no English, she has no money. Can you take her for the summer? And our family does that sort of thing. Oh, of course, sure, we'll take her for the summer. Well, it turns out she not only needed a place to stay, she really needed family. She was a young woman. I think she was 19 years old when she came to us. 9/11 happened. She couldn't get back to her family at all, and she really needed people to love her. Well, God said, love her well. We were able to help her get a cello. We were able to help her finish her education. We helped her with getting her teeth fixed, some healthcare things. We helped her. And she was family. We treated her as if she were family. If my child had that kind of talent, I would have made sure she had an instrument. And she ended up getting married in our backyard. And over the years, I've gotten to be the birth coach for some of her children, and they still, they're my bonus grandchildren. She's my, part of my bonus family, and then her sister came, and then her mother came, and her brother came, and so our family gets extended in just an amazing way. But we, our opening our door has changed the course of an entire family's life that way. And it brings us joy, and it brings them joy, and it's fun.
Amazing. So you'll find many of those kind of stories in your book, right?
Yep.
Great. I am loving this conversation, and it has been incredible so far. It's time for us to add some more spice and some more excitement to the episode. If you're ready, let's kick off the second rapid fire round.
Okay.
Okay, here comes my first bullet. If you could have one gigantic billboard anywhere with anything on it, what would it say?
Do not be afraid and love one another.
Oh. And can you describe yourself in just one word?
Joyful.
I bet you are. And most memorable guest you have ever hosted?
Oh my goodness. And we have had thousands. There was one who was a professional clown, Irvin the Clown, and he arrived in full clown outfit. I'd forgotten to tell my mother-in-law and I remember my stepmom and my dad, who were also there, that Irvin was coming, and we were out of the house, and they walked in, and this clown was in the kitchen making breakfast. And, that was a memorable experience.
And a place where you have experienced exceptional hospitality.
Wow. Again, so many people have offered it to me too, but we were with a hiking group, and we were in the Israeli desert, and a nomadic Bedouin family invited us into their tent and offered us tea and made bread right in front of us. And it was just an incredible, humbling experience, and beautiful.
Amazing. And how would you unwind after hosting a big event?
Excuse me?
How do you unwind after hosting a big event?
How do I unwind after a big event? I put on a really silly, light movie and put my feet up and hang out with my husband.
Okay, got it. And one thing you wish everyone knew about hospitality?
Oh, that it doesn't have to be hard, and it makes a world of difference for them and the people around them.
Okay. And here comes the last one for the second rapid fire round. A book other than your own book that has influenced your views on hospitality.
Well, honestly, and I don't want to offend any, I know you've got a very multicultural audience here, but the Bible and both the Old and New Testament, and particularly so many things that Jesus says that he loves his people to do is to feed and clothe and welcome them in and break bread at table together. And those things have definitely encouraged me to do the same.
Amazing. Thank you. And thank you for sharing that. And after that amazing second rapid fire, let's flip back to the mainstream. And what does the future of hospitality look like in an increasingly digital world? And how can we ensure that technology enhances rather than hinders our ability to connect authentically?
Well, I think there's wonderful opportunities to learn about people online. I think there's wonderful opportunities to read about them. You can learn about different cultures. There's so many ways technology can help break down our prejudices and our barriers and learn to be more curious. That can be a first step to breaking down our fears, to research that. And then we can use technology to connect and to arrange Zoom meetings or do that. And to arrange in-person meetings even better. Technology is a great way of doing that. And then the third way, just to make it really easier, you don't have to cook. You can call Uber and have them drop off some food at your house. And I mean, we've got the ability to have, groceries and those things. It's better to ask a neighbor. It's we don't have to be afraid of that, but we can use technology to our benefit in the aid. Just make sure that you invite someone over when you've got Uber dropping off food. So but those are some of the ways I think we can use the technology to our advantage and not let it cut us off.
Yeah, spot on. I think, that's a great suggestion. And thank you so much for sharing that. And before I let you go, please share us your experience being hosted on TGV, the Guiding Voice podcast.
Well, I think you are the ultimate host, and you forge connection. You kind of do it perfectly. So you've got the connection and the perfection. But it has just been such a joy, and I have really, really just honored to have this privilege to have this time with you and your listeners.
Yeah, same with me as well. And it's a great honor to host you. And thank you once again for being part of our awesome journey, and looking forward to hosting you again. And Annie, I wish you all the best in everything that you do. And I wish your book a grand success.
Well, thank you. And I wish success for each of your listeners, and that they would be encouraged by one another, and that even this week, they'd get over a little bit of their fear and go connect with someone in person.
Yep.
That's my hope.
I love it. I love it. So thank you so much. All right.
Okay.
So,
yes. Hope to see you again. All right.
Definitely. All right. So friends, that was our episode with Annie McKee. And before we jump into the fun trivia section, we have a quick request. In case if you have enjoyed the conversation and found the episode useful, please share with at least 3 of your friends or colleagues who would also like TGV, the Guiding Voice. So spread the knowledge and help others grow just like you. Now let's hop into the trivia segment. So having had amazing conversation with an author, Annie McKee, who is the hospitality guru, if I may call it, I thought I would present you a few lesser known facts about countries renowned for their hospitality. First one is about Georgia and the tradition of supra. Georgia is famous for its tradition of supra, which is a grand feast that involves an abundance of food, wine, and toast led by a tamada, which is a toast master. And what's less known is that this tradition is deeply tied to their hospitality culture, where guests are considered blessings. And the Georgian saying, "a guest is a gift from God," reflects the importance of welcoming and honoring visitors, often leading to spontaneous supras to celebrate their arrival. Interesting, isn't it? Next is about Iran and Taruf, the art of polite refusal. Taruf is a concept in Iran which is unique aspect of Persian culture that revolves around politeness and hospitality, and it involves a ritualized form of courtesy where offers are made often several times before being accepted, and hosts will go out of their way to ensure guests feel comfortable, even if it means offering something they don't have. This cultural practice can sometimes confuse visitors, but it underscores the deep value placed on making guests feel respected and honored. Third is from the country Mongolia, the Griot culture. And Mongolia's nomadic culture is one of the oldest and most enduring in the world, and it comes with a strong tradition of hospitality. One less known aspect is the open door policy of the Griot. the traditional portable dwelling. It's customary for nomads to leave their gears unlocked even when they are not home as a sign of hospitality. And travelers are welcome to enter, take shelter, and even have a meal, highlighting the nomadic culture's deep rooted value of taking care of strangers. So, these are the facts which I wanted to present as part of trivia. And likewise, if you have any interesting facts related to hospitality, do let me know. If you're watching this episode on YouTube, you can comment there. Or if you have found this episode on any audio platform or social media platform, you can comment on social media platforms as well. So, folks, that's it for today. Thank you so much for tuning in and take care. So, we'll see you all in the next episode. Goodbye for now. Love you all. Take care.